As couples self-isolate due to coronavirus, lawyers expect a rise in divorces. A lot of "I told you so" argument. I broke up with a girl because she would do this both ways. If she was right, she'd rub it in. If she was wrong, she'd close up and not admit it and would never apologize. This type of behavior is a huge red flag into serious personality disorders and/or mental illness. And when I pointed that out to her and recommended a therapist and even couples therapy, she said therapy just doesn't work with me. Yup, see edit. As a comment mentioned, I am not insinuating that mental illness should be a red flag in a relationship. I have depression and anxiety. Having a mental illness and refusing help is a red flag, in my opinion. It's a two-way street. If you've been telling your partner about this and they denied it, and now you're making them feel bad for it, that's toxic. Vice versa, if they aren't owning up to their mistake and still being a negative vibe/energy, that is also toxic. I just don't understand some couples and how ridiculous people are and how difficult some people are and can't even be honest with themselves first and foremost. I'm very lucky to be with someone who's brutally honest. I've had to kind of tell her to go a bit easier sometimes because initial reactions to criticism is anger. There will be an increase in divorces, but there's also going to be depression, a huge loss of income, and lives generally falling apart, not just how I didn't realize we didn't actually like each other until now. A family down the street is going through this right now. They're upper class, 2 SUVs in the driveway, smaller sports car for older teenager, fancy grill and so forth. Kids were involved in everything, sports, varsity, 4-H, Boy Scouts. Parents do the PTA thing, coach, and so forth. They're going almost every night of the week, and not together. Enter virus. 4 people who haven't really spent any quality time together. Having to spend time together. It's amazing to see how they're trying to build relationships. So, honey, I heard that due to self-isolation, there is a higher risk for divorce now. Yeah, I heard that. Does that worry you? Why should it? Should I be worried? Don't get snippy with me. What was that look for? You just gave me a look. Well, you sighed heavily. No, I was just breathing. Sounded like a heavy sigh to me. What, I'm not allowed to breathe now? Going to have Gen Z now. The Coronials. I really worry for the kids who are 1 to 5 years old now, who are probably going to go 3 to 4 months or more without playing with kids their own age and will probably just be sat with an iPad while their parents WFH. Gen Z is going to be a bunch of socially awkward turbo introverts. Edit. I don't mean all Gen Z, and I'm not blaming parents at all. It's just that as a parent of a 2-year-old I've read so much about the importance of socialization at the ages when kids' brains are like sponges. We don't live together normally, so we're still in the "it feels like a honeymoon" stage. Good for you. My wife and I are having a blast with our 2 kids and being able to actually all spend time together. Emergency fund, set for years. Grocery pickup. Working from home remotely. This is basically my dream life other than the global suffering and tragedy. I think there are some great opportunities for us to slow down and recalibrate our lives a bit. Most divorces will likely come down to finances. That's already the #1 cause of divorce in U.S. Goldman Sachs estimates 2+ million workers already filed for unemployment. We will know more when the BLS releases data in April about how many jobs are affected. But, yeah. The big picture ramifications of this have not even begun to play out. Super glad wife and I are on the same page and enjoying our time together. Both me and my fiancé sat at home for 1.5 months due to unemployment and had fantastic time. 2 weeks ago we both started new jobs, not in quarantine, and when I sent her a link to an article called something like "How Not to Hate Your Family When Stuck Together for 2 Weeks," we both laughed and agreed we could probably spend a couple of years in isolation together. I read from a couples therapist who's doing online counseling that the problem isn't spending time together, the problem is when one person is taking the virus very seriously and the other one thinks it's not a threat. You can imagine if your spouse was going out, socializing, refusing to wash hands, the stress that could cause. Or if that person got sick and refused to isolate and was coughing all over the house. We actually like each other, so we're good. Us, too. It's actually been so nice for our family to have my husband working from home, heart. Especially since you are going to have couples arguing about how to handle the situation. One being more careful and the other laid back. I'm having a lot of fights with my husband about this. He smokes weed and thinks that the weed cough is completely benign and okay to do without covering mouth. He keeps saying I'm not coughing cause of coronavirus. I keep telling him it doesn't matter what the reason is. He could be infected and asymptomatic. He's still going to work so he's not sealed off. The virologists I listen to claim it is so infectious, you will both get it anyway once he is symptomatic. To cite Drosten, if a family in a household has one test negative, the next tests will practically always be positive. Yeah, I'm fighting with my roomie daily. I can't imagine living with a partner, we will kill each other in a week. It's all about having the right person, really. Sure, there's probably going to be a wave of divorces, etc. But there's also probably going to be a lot of couples who are slowly drifting apart, because of the daily routine, that will be able to reignite that little something, yeah? And domestic violence. Children, battering/abuse, elderly especially, etc. A lot of kids who look forward to getting away from home every day are in a bad place. So people divorced when they spend time together? So why they are getting married? Most couples never get to spend this much time together. Usually one or both work full-time jobs and only spend long periods of time together on vacation, which is very different than isolated at home. Even if they have spent time together, this isolation will definitely bring out sides of someone the other may not have seen. Whether or not they have the tools to work through any issues that may arise will vary couple to couple. Isolating with children adds an entire level of complexity to it all. Hate to sound like I am bragging, but my wife and I are both introverts by nature. We are loving all the time together. We get play games and cook all day. We have been chatting and debating, respectfully, various different topics. I really feel more closer to her now than ever before. She hasn't been as upset as I have been about this crisis, and she has been a shoulder to cry on a few times for me as well. I don't think I could manage this crisis without her. She is my everything.